Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Well, live from the Loft 100 studios in sunny San Diego, California. Big Biz Show's on the air. We're having a calm start to the program because Mike Costa once again. What did Howie say? Howie's here in a minute, but he didn't say Michael's big ol' howdy to you. He said a big ol' something. I think Howie changed it to something more palatable. It was great to have you along here. Day Trader Trio's here. I'm here. Mary Bird Godwin's here. What did you say, Howie, yesterday? You said a big old what to you?
He said howdy.
No, he said something else. Do you remember what it was? We have to replay that.
If you think I can remember yesterday, Sully, I don't know.
No, because it was a better version of it. It's something I could deal with. Hey, so what's interesting is Mary brought up a topic of conversation on, I don't know if it was this show or another show.
My daughter going to college?
No, not that one. But there was over under. Who won? Oh, James won today. He said first 30 seconds.
Hey, I'm in.
James gets the $20 bill today. You talked about AI and the cloud taking up energy,
yes,
and so on and so forth. What in that same sort of genre is data centers, large data centers, right, Howie? Taking up a huge electric footprint.
Same thing.
So talk about this.
Yeah, so when we're talking about AI, we are talking and NVIDIA chips and infrastructure build out, we're talking about data centers. That's what that means. We need large ones and we need them built near cities, and we need a lot of them to kind of justify the premium prices that are being paid for right now in the market. So just to put it in perspective, this year, 60-70% of the gains in the market have been from the increase in the AI stocks, the Metas, Microsoft, NVIDIA, all that, even Tesla. What that means is when they buy these chips, they're going to start having to set up. Elon Musk famously threw together the data center he calls Colossus in Tennessee very, very quickly. The people there are actually not thrilled with it because the electricity that's needed for it has created a lot more emissions, and so if you do these things quickly, we're going to see some pushback from communities, and that's what I'm kind of talking about today.
Which is sort of what you were talking about the other day, right?
And it's making people's energy bills go up, right?
Yeah, so what happens is, ironically, and this is true in business, if you can go to a vendor of any kind, in this case the utility company for electricity, and say, hey, I can tell you with certainty I need this much of your product and I need it for this long, they will give you better pricing if you buy in bulk and you give them certainty. And especially for power infrastructure, it's important because they need to know how much electric load to push. So they can actually secure, a kind of wholesale price, and then the utility has to work even harder to get power out to the rest of the community. So when a big data center comes in here and they're not careful about how they do it, you'll have electricity prices raising to crazy rates.
GDP is the report card to any economy, and a local GDP is as important as a national GDP. And the reason local governments use tax breaks and such to lure in these companies is because it creates GDP, right? I mean, you're creating jobs, you're creating spending. But the trade-off almost seems, you've got an aquifer problem, you've got water stress community problems, you've got power usage problems. At some point there needs to be a non-governmental agency that comes in and says, okay, there's a math equation here to where it does make sense or it doesn't make sense in certain parts of the country or certain parts of the world, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think the companies building out these data centers can just be a lot smarter about it. They can come in and say, hey, we're not only going to build a data center, we're going to build our own utility to some extent, and we'll sell the power back to the community. So we're increasing the supply, which actually should do better. But they've basically got to be more than just data centers if they're going to come in. And then they do have to come in and talk to the cities. I don't know if you need a whole nother agency, but there needs to be a protocol where you can't be railroading these small towns and small cities. You have to come in and say, what's the effect this is going to have, and how are you going to reimburse us for this? Because technically, sorry, Mary.
I was just going to say, are there communities and cities, people coming forward and being successful at stopping these from happening, or are communities having a voice in this?
Or are people actually stopping it?
Right.
I mean, I think because it's just starting to come to mind now where people even know to stop it, correct?
I'm sorry I don't have it in front of me, but there was a headline a couple, maybe a week or two ago about just that happening. A couple small cities said, no, you're not doing it. They got a lot of flack in the town hall meetings, and they just said, no, you can't do it.
So we're going to start seeing this kind of stuff on our
I think we're going to see a lot more unless what I talked about actually happens. I mean, they use a lot of water too.
Well, but which brings to the point where won't developers get smart and start figuring out, just like they did with the low-income housing when they wanted big development projects, maybe renewable energy projects when they want to build a data center, right? I mean, isn't that sort of the answer?
They might have to do something like a trade like that. If you let us build a data center, we'll build a solar farm too. Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, here's the issue. The need is only going to get increasingly viable for these things, because our appetite for, I always say this, we didn't have the word iPhone in our lexicon 17 years ago. And now you could not live without, I'm sorry.
ChatGPT.
I can't come to my camera right now. I mean, honestly, it's the last thing it is a cell phone. ChatGPT and AI
all day
are something I use. I mean, when I introduce you to Perplexity, it's your best friend now.
Yeah.
Google is going to have a problem making a profit coming up with advertising the minute Perplexity figures out how to charge for advertising.
It's a really, really great point. I mean, we're going to need so much the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang, said we need probably 1 billion times more compute than we have now. And last week, the CEO of Microsoft was bragging about how they were putting data centers in space. They've previously tried to put them in the ocean. So
wasn't Iceland where all the servers were located? Iceland's real estate properties are going to start going down when they start moving out of Iceland, right?
The problem is for these services, especially for things like Facebook, Instagram, you need and YouTube. You need data centers all over the country. I mean, you're pulling your video from a data center, just a couple hundred miles away. It's not like it's all on a server in California and you're just pulling straight from there. Well, they have to have a lot of infrastructure to have those businesses.
Look, and the more fast channels that show up, the more over-the-top television that shows up, the less cable that shows up. Look at our veracity for consuming media, not on NBC, ABC, or CBS, which is why everyone's watching Amazon Prime, everyone's watching Paramount Plus, everyone's watching Peacock. What is your latest one on Hulu or whatever you're having us watch your on, right? I mean, the more just the entertainment side alone. Forget about the computing side. It's a little scary. I think space is it, or we need to use that island where the lepers are in Hawaii, and just take that whole area, and we'll do that. I forget what that's called.
I don't know.
You remember the lepers island in Hawaii?
I do not.
Yes, you do.
Oh, I don't.
Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. I'll come up with the name for you on the break. Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
we profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyantgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
BigBizShow.com is our website. We are available in 80 million homes across the country. We're also available internationally on American Forces Network, television and radio there.
Podcasts. Don't forget podcasts.
Right, I get an email almost every morning. I get several. I get 5 that were written at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Somebody's watching us somewhere. We're on 24/7. Somewhere, but it's easy to find. Go to bigbizshow.com, and of course, all the links are there. Charles Allen is the CEO and chairman of the board of BTCS. Of course, BTCS is Blockchain Technology Consensus Solutions. This guy is one of the most fascinating humans I've ever met. I really believe that he's onto something new. If you don't understand Ethereum, he's going to tell you, Mary's raising her hand, why Ethereum matters. It's the new financial internet. And here, once again, one of the smartest guys I know, and I'm not just saying that. Charles, how are you, man? So good to see you.
Yeah, Bob, it's great to be back on. Really appreciate you having me on the show.
Listen, you're helping us as well. Can you just, let's take it from the top, because you've been on a few times, and I want to revisit for people that don't know who you are. Talk about you guys and why Ethereum matters, and sort of when we think of digital currency, and I argue that we already are in the world of digital currency because I've got the same $40 in my wallet that I've had the last 6 months. Everything financially is digital anyway. But people tend to think of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is an investment. It is not, at this point, commerce related. Ethereum kind of creates something a little bit different. Talk about that for us.
No, what Ethereum creates is like the future of the financial rails and beyond. And so, what do I mean by that? You said it, you have $40 in your wallet. I've probably had the last $20 in my wallet for the better part of a year.
Yeah.
And everything's now online, but what blockchain technology and specifically Ethereum does is it allows for the tokenization of digital assets and allows for those digital assets to trade globally without a trusted third party, and that is key 24/7. And what that means is instead of paying Visa or MasterCard or a stock exchange or utilizing SWIFT, ever try to send a wire on the weekend, you can't do it, or after banks close, now all of a sudden you can move money, and I'm not talking Bitcoin, I'm talking US dollars. You can move tokenized dollars 24/7 anywhere around the world in any amount for near nothing. And that's remarkable. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. When you look beyond that, beyond the dollar, we're talking about tokenizing real estate, tokenizing stock, tokenizing any asset that we currently use. And that's really remarkable. And that's as game-changing as the internet, right? Internet allowed for the information to move globally. Blockchain technology, specifically Ethereum, is the rails to move any asset globally 24/7 without a trusted third party. And that's going to create new business models, new economies, and make the world more efficient.
And tokenization means turning something into smaller, well-defined tokens that are unique in so much that if they are stolen, they're unusable. It's part of the safety feature on this as well. Talk about that piece of it.
Well, it goes beyond that. It goes to who controls your money, right? I mean, look at the protests up in Canada where the banks, with the truckers, right? They had all the bank accounts shut. That's awful. especially in a free country, you shouldn't be able to come close your bank account because they disagree if you're having a peaceful protest. So once you tokenize something on a blockchain, you control it, it's yours. And there's all sorts of different use cases for this, that it's not just about putting it in a tokenized form, it's cutting out the middleman and putting the custody back in the holder's possession. And that's something that we got away from a long time ago, like decades ago. And so that's what this technology is now coming back. You don't need a middleman anymore.
Right. Talk about BTCS. You have a really interesting business model, vertical integration and digital assets. Talk about what you guys do exactly.
So, historically, we're the oldest public crypto company in the world. We went public in 2014. Right now, we're a blockchain infrastructure and technology company focused on Ethereum. Our thought is if we secure Ethereum's network and build products and solutions on top of it, we'll benefit from the tokenization of real-world assets without having to bet on any particular use case. And so our company has 3 lines of business. It's node ops, which is running validator nodes, securing the network. We're a block builder, which right now we account for anywhere from 1% to 3% of all transactions on Ethereum. And we've recently launched a new business, Imperium, which is a proprietary platform where we're engaging in the DeFi ecosystem. So, and all of those things are kind of interconnected at some places.
It's what's interesting here is also when you talk about crypto, as a whole, I think we're at the point where we can't just blanket the word crypto to. I think Ethereum is going to come to the point where it is the tip of the spear in crypto, whereas Bitcoin is going to continue to be another indice like S&P, Dow Jones, NASDAQ, and I really think there needs to be a bifurcation in terms of how people think about this, because this is really where we turn checkbooks, wallets, and credit cards handed over to the Ethereum side, to where in the next 10 years, this is going to be our basis, which is really good news, because then the Fed Reserve is the creature from Jekyll Island is less important. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I 100% agree. And I think when Ethereum succeeds, people won't even know it. So, nobody asks how the internet works anymore. If you go back 20 years ago, and I was, or 25 years ago, I was in this space, and people were talking about the protocols, SMTP, POP, HTTPS. Nobody talks about that anymore.
Right.
And so it's not Bitcoin. Ethereum has so much more that it can do. It's really the rails of the financial future and the tokenization of assets. But the end user won't know when the back end changes. They'll just have a better user experience.
Hey, Charles, as you know, we want you on every single day. So you got to promise to come back with us. Have a great holiday. I appreciate it. His name is Charles Allen. The name of the company is BTCS. Of course, that's their ticker symbol as well. BTCS. Go to btcs.com, Blockchain Technology Consensus Solutions. Do you have an understanding now of where it's going?
No, zero. But he made me think that maybe I don't need to understand. It's just going to make my life simpler, and I don't need to understand how it works.
Double-click your right side of your phone to pay?
Yeah.
That's how it's going to go.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
It's going to be another version of payment technology.
And I'm just going to say, okay, take my money.
And it's safer than anything else.
Yeah.
All right, Big Biz Show continues. Stand by. Big Biz Show, bigbizshow.com. Boy, we had a really exciting day yesterday because of our friends at Amaze Holdings. Aaron Day is the CEO of Amaze, their ticker symbol AMZE. Lots of great stuff happening with that company, but yesterday we announced a collaboration with our company, Sully Entertainment Group, and Loft 100 Studios with Amaze to create Amaze's Creator Content Studio. Boy, that was a big deal, man. And I kind of kept it quiet here with the people around here. But
yeah, I learned about it in the press release that came in my Google alert.
Well, Aaron and I have been talking.
I was a little worried about that.
Aaron and I actually started talking about this literally the second day he was on the air, and he'd come into the studio and thought to himself, wait a second, there's a fit here, because, and I'll let you explain, if you haven't heard the story, I'll let Aaron explain it in a second in terms of what they do. But Amaze helps content creators grow their businesses. And what I'm talking about is there's people that are selling everything from George Foreman grills to Sharpies to chapstick to skincare products. There are millions of them online, and they get a little chunk of everything they sell. At the same time, they're creating a footprint for themselves, and Amaze makes that happen. Talk about what you guys do, and talk about how great it's going to be for these guys to be able to use a facility that's kind of turnkey for them.
Yeah, so happy Thanksgiving early to both of you. Good to see you both.
You too.
To you.
I'm hoping we're going to discuss what we're drinking a little bit here later too, so we have a little bit more fun, right? But anyways, as we've talked about before on your show, Amaze helps creators that are integrated with the major social platforms like YouTube and Twitch and TikTok create e-commerce and selling experiences, all over the world, connecting with their fans, no matter where they are, right? And one of the growing challenges for creators who are either professional creators or semi-professional creators, people who want to do this for their career, for their living, for their lifestyle, is getting proper access to professional recording studios and equipment, right? And I've just been, every time I've come down to your studio and I've watched the team, the systems, the excitement, just the capabilities you have, Sully. Now that we are able to, in Southern California, bring some of those facilities to some of our creators in a bit more automated way, it's just really exciting for me, right? Because I think you're going to see a whole new level of content come out from these people who are typically used to recording content on their phones or in their garages and makeshift studios, right? So I'm super excited about this, bringing a level of professionalism to a group of our creators that just are ready to blow the roof off, right? They're doing super well, and let's just give them a bit more access to the right technology, right?
And the other piece of it too is, you guys have sort of the recipe, the template for these folks to get out to the universe. But now, as I said, instead of having it look like it's done in their closet.
Well, that can be daunting for people. Is the right camera, the right lighting, the right setup, the right audio? Because audio can break a video completely if you don't have the right sound. So, I think it's definitely a great fit because we take that stress away from people.
Hey, let's talk about your platform overall here. You guys, it's interesting how you guys, if you go on their website, all the fingers you guys are in, and not just they all work interactively together. But talk about some of the other stuff that you guys are doing, because it's really interesting. If you go to the website, you see different categories.
Yeah, so it's been a pretty fun year too, because we've added a lot of new stuff. So we've got it's called the Cast app, KAST app, and that is it started off as a live watch party app during COVID, and now it's expanded into a live shopping app. So the beautiful thing about that is it gives you the ability to host a live party, interact with a large group of fans live, both via video and chat, and now you can actually shop it. So if you think about what you do on TikTok Shop or on maybe Whatnot platforms like that, you can actually do that now in one of our apps, host a live watch party and a selling experience. So that's a beautiful thing we have, doing really, really well. We've also launched Digital Fits, which is our first product in Roblox, which allows all these millions of users in Roblox to create their own personal digital, people call them skins or digital apparel. What's magical about that, and this is where I'll talk about my 9-year-old son. So my 9-year-old son's in Roblox every day playing. He's created his own avatars and the apparel. But within 1 second, my son can actually click a button, and now those really robust pieces of apparel my son's created can now be sold as physical products.
No
so
way.
you see his friends, and what they're doing, they're actually wearing the apparel that they created in the digital gaming platform, right? So another way to help the next generation of kids become creators and monetize, right?
And entrepreneurs, that's so cool.
Yeah, 100%. And they are. You've watched what they're creating, and now you see them and all his little buddies wearing the same shirt. Well, you take that and you multiply that by millions of kids doing this. It's amazing. And then I think we talked about this last time, but the Moments AI we launched a few weeks ago with Perez Hilton, Moments AI, and really what that's about, like our company at its core is built to help the up and coming creator, right? The creator who's getting started, having a little bit of success. And what we've noticed a lot this year is that there's just these moments when something starts to trend. You hit something, it triggers an algorithm, or all of a sudden you go viral and you're not ready for it, right? All of a sudden it happens and it takes you days or weeks to get your products built and launched and your store built. By the time you get your whole business in front of the audience, it may be too late. So Moments is about like us using AI to capture those trends and immediately give you something extra new products, new designs based off what we're seeing from your trends, and let you start to monetize immediately. So within minutes you're monetizing versus days you're monetizing.
You know, what's interesting about that is that if you think in terms of, when you're talking about this, I start thinking in terms of the creator economy. The content creator economy. Don't you just get the feeling, and even look, I mean, the market loved that press release yesterday. You get the feeling that this could be the tip of the spear, because we're not watching commercials on television as much anymore. Terrestrial TV and radio are still the king of media. However, that's changing very rapidly. I can't tell you the last time I spent more time watching a television. It was football season, but then again, I'm now online, and it's commercial free. So somehow we need to be fed this information on what the next latest greatest is. I think this content creator content, I don't think we know what we don't know at this point. It's a huge economy right now. I think you guys have opened the door to where this is a whole game changer in terms of how advertising's done.
Yeah, and the U.S. is very far behind here. I mean, if you go to the rest of the world, you go to China, you go to Southeast Asia, you go to Europe, it's already way more advanced. So we're rapidly seeing cultural changes in the United States that are going to just make this thing grow into a much bigger space than it already is, Sully. It's how people buy things in China. So wow. and it's because they were able to leapfrog a whole bunch of traditional. Look, you didn't have all the retail networks. You didn't have all the distribution channels, right? They just went direct to consumer in a much better way, and that's what's happening here in the U.S.
You know, I can't let you out of here without talking about your massive Q4 balance sheet cleanup. How is that going? How are you doing on your sort of major efforts ending in 2025, and what does that lead into 2026?
Yeah, so thanks for asking that, and it's been the biggest grind. So when you can imagine, when a private company merges with a public company, and you go public, there's a whole bunch of stuff that has to get cleaned up, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to communicate to investors in a much cleaner way, right? So we, as everyone knows, we merged on June 12th. I took over as the public company CEO on June 13th of this year. And the first thing I told my team is that we are going to finish this year with a balance sheet that represents who we are as a company and our culture, right? We're going to clean up the mess of the public company, get it in a much better shape, so that we can go into 2026 and be very proud about it.
Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks. If we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
We have done massive work, and what we are working on now is, as we go into December, the last month of Q4, is starting to give a little bit of a foreshadow of what's coming and what investors can expect when they see the full Q4 reports in early 2026. What I will tell you as a little sneak peek is that we've reduced overall the liabilities and the AP and the debt of the company by over 60% in Q4. And the company will have a balance sheet going into 2026 that really is set up to allow us to throttle everything at full speed and really show the capabilities of the company and just be past this sort of this weight on our shoulders from the sort of the cleanup required to go public and merge into a public company, right? So it's very exciting, Sully, and my team has done an amazing job and really working through this, and we just now need to let the markets understand what we've done.
Well, sure, and I think that's certainly happening, and I think the other piece of this too is what a little infotainment for our viewers and our listeners is that when you clean up your balance sheet. It's the age-old adage. Banks and financing doesn't come when you need it. It needs to come when you don't need it, as well as when you need it. And you can't do that without a clean-up balance sheet. That balance sheet opens the door for so much financing, so much capital formation. It's a roadblock for many companies that you've just removed completely. It's like the analogy I can give you is like when you're fully employed, you're debt-free, and you got an 800 credit score. Is much different than when you're not employed, you're in a gig economy, you got a 600 credit score, and you're trying to get a credit card. I mean, I know that's simplistic, but for people that don't understand really how important that balance sheet thing is, that was one of the biggest things to do, aside from your business model. Don't you agree?
100%. And look, as I told you privately, every day we get somebody coming across wanting us to buy them because of our distribution capabilities. People, much bigger companies than ours know that if they put their company, their products, their solutions in our distribution, they're going to do much better because we've built this massive top of funnel engine. But the conversations stop immediately if your balance sheet's not clean, right? No one wants to come in if you're dealing with a company that has a lot of liabilities overhanging the business, right? So we took the approach. It was going to be very painful for a few months, but let's get it cleaned up faster, better, go into 2026 with all these sort of impediments behind us, right? And we did it. You just can't know how much excitement we have as a company that we're going to enter 2026 with a business that is in so much better shape than it was over the last 6 months, right? It's healthy, it's energized, it's got cash on the books. It's well funded now, so it's just in a much better position, and I expect that to drive a lot of success in 2026.
Do you think that we're going to see with the content creation economy to where folks are amalgamating these channels? Let's just say that out loud. Home Shopping Network, QVC. If those had ratings to them when they were popular, they would have been as popular as any primetime television show on network television. Do you think there's going to be an amalgamation where these folks are, as opposed to one-offs, where people can sort of watch, pick and choose? Like, I remember NFL Sunday Ticket's pretty good because I got 6 games going on at the same time. Yeah. Is something like that the next step? Because I think there's going to be a voracious appetite for this. As you said, the U.S. is behind.
Yeah, I think let's use sports as an analogy, right? So, you've got the full swing of Major League Basketball, Major League Hockey, Major League Football, all going on right now. You've got the full swing of some of the best college sports out there right now. You've got the end of the seasons for all of the high school sports, the football season, things like that, the soccer. And then you have all these niche sports like pickleball and all that kind of stuff coming up right now. People, one, they want to develop their skills. They want to learn. They're watching more content. They want to see what their favorite players are doing. They want to see what their favorite players are wearing. They want to see how their favorite players are living, what their lifestyle looks like, right? And we want to do that at scale. And we want to be able to participate and buy what they're wearing, what they're sharing immediately, right? You don't want to have to watch your favorite athlete see a pair of shoes, see a pair of a t-shirt or whatever he might be wearing, and then say, hey, where do I go find that? I want to buy it. I want to have it now. I want to walk into see my friends at a party tomorrow and have that on, right? So it is changing rapidly, and I think that the entire world knows that it's coming at a pace that is just rapid. I think you and I were talking about this. I saw a little press release that even people like Walmart are starting to open up little mini creator studios inside of the retail stores, right? Why are they doing that? They're doing that because they want the influence of these creators promoting products in their stores, right? That's why this announcement yesterday that we did together about bringing the first studio experience to our creators with your Loft 100 Studios setup, it just is amazing because there's a need. There's a huge pent-up need for it, and I'm very excited about it. This gives an opportunity also for us to have a 365-day year
creator confessional that you guys did prior. We can create a creator confessional.
Look at
just
Mary's
right
face.
here.
Mary's like, I'm not part of this. I'm not.
Actually, no, but that reminds me. Earlier, you said that you were chatting with Perez Hilton. Did I hear that correctly?
Oh yeah, it's all over the website.
First of all, I need to know what's inside gossip he told you. But secondly, I want to know, because he doesn't have necessarily a platform where he's selling merchandise.
But he's a brand in and of itself.
Right, he's a brand. So talk about that a little bit, how he can utilize, are people coming to him to sell their products and use him like an influencer, or is he creating his own merch, or how does somebody like that in the space use your platform?
Yeah, so Perez has 3 active stores right now, all powered by Amaze. And they're different sets. There's what's trending for him on social media. There is his sort of fun apparel for going out at nighttime, and then there's sort of his products that are basically, just sort of making fun, making light of different things that are happening in the world today, right?
I love it.
I'm sure if we wanted to, we could get Perez on stage with you, Mary.
We'd love to get him in the studio.
I want that so badly.
Me and Mike, of course, will be off that day because Mary will have a whole hour with the guy.
Yeah, I need to pop culture gossip with him.
He still has millions and millions of followers, and we're also talking to him about a cooking show. He wants to launch his own cooking show on Food Channel, so we're having conversations about that, which would be quite fun.
Cool.
I'm not sure how good of a cook he is, but he's interested in it, right? So
That's
we'll
good.
see.
Aaron's going to be in studio here
Great.
I think in a week or two.
Hurry up.
We'll get to spend some time with Aaron. Thanks so much, brother. Good to talk to you. Glad to have you as a partner. AMZE. Go to their website. Powering the future of commerce. Big Biz Show continues. BigBizShow.com, so you can find us everywhere. 80 million homes in the U.S. We are international as well. Thanks to American Forces Network, and thanks to Bloomberg, and thanks to all of you, as well as all of our online points of distribution. You can go to BigBizShow.com and find out. Great to have you along today. Mary and I are holding the fort down because apparently else thought Thanksgiving started 2 weeks early. So it is the slack season, the slack off season. Lavell, Malloy, and Daniel Leibovich are 2 guys that are so remarkable. You've seen Lavell on the program. They are co-creators, co-founders of the Bragg House, and they are publicly traded as stock symbol TBH. Now, this is the #1 home for the casual college gamer, but it's so much more than this because these guys reverse engineered a business into an audience that was already waiting for them before the business got there. And it's such a brilliant move. Guys, great to have you. I can't believe I actually got Daniel on the line too. Daniel, good to see you, man.
Good to see you as well.
Hey, Lavell, I got to say, you guys, we get so much email when you come on the air with us, and now we're getting email from college kids wondering, on the front end side. But I want to talk about this because you guys have figured out this bridge of culture and capital to where this didn't exist before, and you've built this business, and the model is brilliant. But it's much more than that because now you can overlay this template into other places. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw that there was a need. So exactly what you said, we use community, and I think it's important because community loyalty is a tangible asset. So we took that tangible asset and we created an entire model around it, which we believe is very successful in connecting brands to a really hard to reach audience.
Lavell, I was thinking, I was checking out your website some more, and I just dialed into the name and the bragging rights, and it seems like you just attacked what we all have, which is ego, and people wanting to be like, "Yo, look what I did," and it's so cool the way you get into people's psyche because then they want to brag more and they want to do more and they want to. It just seems like a cycle that you have going there. So was that part of it too, to kind of tie into that thing that we all have?
Yeah, and Daniel can tell you that was literally, this is the Bragg House, we brag.
Yeah.
And I think, and we said it before, we started that community inside. So, Daniel and I bragging as we're playing games against each other, bragging rights.
Right.
Hey, Daniel, I got to talk about your strategic partnerships with a lot of pretty well-known global brands, like, for example, McDonald's, Coca Cola, Learfield. That got you into literally another 200 college campuses. Talk about how that came about and why that was so important for you guys.
So the events and the partnership that we've done with McDonald's and Coca Cola have been a staple stone for us. Through them, we were able to present and show the world what we're capable of, both from production capabilities, the ability to reach students on campuses, outside of campuses, and that brought to the start of the relationship with Learfield that we're obviously, as you all guys know, started with University of Florida. But as we scale out with Learfield to all their other 200 plus universities that they have under their media rights umbrella, it's just a scalable model, right? It's all about making sure that whatever we build in a scalable manner, because otherwise it's not going to be attainable. So doing it in a scalable manner where we can duplicate the model that we were doing with Learfield, first with UF, and then multiply it across all the universities. And as you can only imagine, as we're multiplying that, we're going to have a ton more brand attention coming into us, and brands like McDonald's, like Coca-Cola, will become more and more involved as we evolve and create more events, more activations, and more experiences for college students around the U.S.
And when you talk about these big brands, can you piggyback onto their followings in terms of digital followings and social followings to sort of amass more customers for Bragg House as well?
I think it's always, sorry, go ahead, Lavell.
No, I was going to say absolutely. I said, we can definitely do that. The funny part about it is they're doing that to us. they're trying to get.
There goes the bragging rights again. Yeah. There's a bragging rights again. Hey, which I think is that in itself is the definition of scalability, right? I mean, when that happens. Let's talk a little bit about the House of Doge and Dogecoin. We just had an Ethereum expert on the air with us, who is sort of. Talked about the financial infrastructure behind Ethereum. I think we've established the fact that Bitcoin is an investment platform to invest in, just like the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P. However, things like Ethereum and Dogecoin are going to turn into currency, and it's going to turn into transactions. Talk about that a little bit, and talk about your partnership with them.
I think that's the crucial part of it. We are creating financial rails backed by a $30 billion cryptocurrency, but the financial rails are compared to companies like BlackRock, are compared to companies like Visa with their, payment processing, the branding and licensing. So we're taking all the financial rails of trillion-dollar industries, doing the same playbook that we've done to make sure we have the adoption for colleges, but we're backed by a $30 billion currency to do that. So that's exactly what we're going to do is create these new financial rails, which honestly we believe is the future of how, everyone, but definitely, you'll probably see the first adoption from colleges, but how people are going to start engaging in the financial world.
This SaaS financial, digital financial model fits right into as an offering to your existing clients on the Bragg House site, right? Isn't that the intention to where you can start serving up more and more actionable services that, of course, you get to take a chunk of each time they use that service, and that creates revenue. Daniel, talk about that for us just a little bit about moving digital payments and moving real world asset tokenization from the existing client base you have into the future, because suddenly Bragg House becomes much more than a gaming site.
Well, actually, I definitely want to touch point on what you talked about for the SaaS model. One of the items that we think will be massive for Bragg House is the data that we're building for brands. And one thing that, a mistake that we're not planning on doing that other brands have done in our position is we're not going to risk personable identifiable information. PII for us is always going to be sacred. We're going to protect the user's information. We're not going to sell it. But the ability to create behavioral trends and predictable behavioral trends and package that for brands as a SaaS model and giving them the ability to also implement the knowledge that they're gaining through our platform in our platform for advertising and marketing purposes is going to be massive for the growth of the company.
Lavell, Malloy, Daniel Leibovich, the Bragg House. Welcome to the Bragg House.